What's going on, everyone? So today I'm doing a video on how to use a flash drive input into your TV to pause, rewind, fast forward live TV. And you don't need one of those cable boxes or anything like that in order to do this. As long as you got a TCL Roku TV, then for the most part I think you should be able to have this option to do this. Mine is a 4 series 65-inch. So I know mine does it. I'm not exactly sure about the other series or models of the TV. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below about what my specs are for the TV, so you can maybe compare or see if your TV does it as well. But for the most part, I think 4 series and up for sure must have this capability. I wouldn't understand why a higher series would have or not have this. So if you got a lower series, then maybe it doesn't. But it's always worth a try, I guess. And so basically the drive of choice today is going to be this guy right here. And this is a 32 gigabyte drive. You don't need a 32 gig. The minimum it says is 16 gigabyte drive. And from what I understand, it does have to be completely cleared, and that 16 gigs has to be free space that the TV can use. And so I guess the first step would be to plug it in. And again, this is the hardest step for me. So let me see if I can get it on the first try again. So my USB port is on the top. Gonna try. All right, it sounds like we got in there. And so what you gotta do next after you have it plugged in and you heard it snap in like mine just did, then you go to where you have antenna TV, and then you hit the little asterisk button, whatever you want to call it, this one right here. Hit that, and then you get this little pop-up menu that shows, and you want to scroll on up to set up live TV pause, and then click that. And then what happens is it'll say live TV pause allows you to rewind and play back up to 90 minutes of the current digital channel you're watching. So if you change the channel, you're not going to be able to use the pause, obviously, because you're going to lose all that information. So make sure whatever channel you do end up using this for, you stay on that channel that you paused on. And so we'll go ahead and hit the setup live TV pause. Next thing it says, live TV pause requires a dedicated USB drive, 16 gig or larger, to be plugged into your TV. Maximum pause time is 90 minutes regardless of drive size. The entire USB drive will be reformatted to use this feature. So again, like I said, if you have important information on the flash drive that you want to use, make sure that you move it onto your computer or somewhere else safe, because it's going to reformat the USB drive. And basically what that means is whatever's on there at the time of reformatting will not be on there again afterwards. So, make sure that it's clear before you plug it in and hit this button. Otherwise you're going to lose some valuable information if you have it on there. And again, like it says on here, it doesn't matter what size after 16 gigs or larger, you're still going to get the same amount of 90 minutes maximum, which I don't understand how that works, because you would think if you got a 128 gig drive in there, wouldn't you get more time of pausing than you would if you had a 16 gig? But I don't know how it works, so we'll just go ahead and hit continue. Let me mute the sound in the background. And so next it says live TV pause enabled. Live TV pause will be available as long as the USB drive is connected to this TV. So as long as I got it plugged in right now, then we're good to go. If you take it out and then you want to put it back in, you're gonna have to make sure you hit this button again so you can make sure it's formatted correctly, otherwise it might not work. And so what we can do now is we'll go to the antenna TV. Mine is right now, I'm just using a satellite antenna thing. We're gonna peek at it real quick. There it is, hanging on the wall. I made a video about this in the past. I'll put a little card for it on here and maybe leave it in the description below as well. But basically it picks up free TV signals that are up in the air that are unprotected, and it kind of makes a little guide for me on the TV here, like so, and I get my local channels and all that other stuff. But if you want to know more about that, then go ahead, check out that video. definitely worth a watch if you want to save some money. And so now that we're on a channel, let me go back to it. It's just local news. I can hit the pause button, and then you'll see on the bottom here it says the time that I paused it, which is 4:29. It's got the pause icon, and then scrolling all the way over, it disappeared, but I'll bring it back. Pause again. It says 4:29 there as well, and then we're paused. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'll let the pause stay for a little bit, and then I'll come back just so we'll have something to play with. Okay, so some time has now passed, and we have a little bit of wiggle room to fast forward and rewind and stuff like that. So without further ado, I'll hit the play button real quick. We're back on this commercial. And then if I hit the pause button and I want to fast forward, you can actually use these arrow buttons instead, and you can see the different tiles that you want to maybe go to. So for whatever reason, let's say I want to go to this commercial, hit OK, and then it'll start playing. Or let's say I don't want to go to that. Who wants to watch a commercial? Hit pause. Let's go to the actual news instead, because that's what we're on the channel for, right? Fake COVID-19 test kit seized. What a time to be alive. And so that's one thing that's pretty cool about that, is that you can see mini screens of what you're fast forwarding. So if I want to keep on going to something that looks interesting, like look at these construction guys, what are they up to? Go ahead and click on that real quick. And bam, look at that. She or he is welding and painting. And so again, it's a nice free little feature that the TV provides, being able to pause, rewind, and fast forward live TV without needing a cable box or anything like that. One thing that I would suggest, if you're tight on space and you use a lot of USB drive, or you use a USB port on your TV often, like for me, I use it for the satellite thing like I mentioned, and there's only one that comes on the TV, is you can order something online, or if you could go to the store if you want, something similar to this. Obviously not this. What it would look like, you'd have a USB insert right here that you would plug into the TV, and then on the actual box it'll have like various USB ports that you could plug in on top of that. And so instead of just having the one USB port, you'll have multiple. If you have a MacBook or anything like that, I'm sure you've seen the same type of deal, except you would use this one instead, because it's Type C for the MacBook, depending on what model you got. And so that's a nice little feature that you might want to invest in. Those can be a little bit costly, but at the end of the day, it's probably a good investment if you want to not have to switch back and forth with plugging something into the USB drive of the TV. And so that's one hint or tip that I got to share. And so continuing on with this, like I said, I think it's a nice little feature to have. And then if you go back to the main menu and you go back to this, if you want to set it up for something else, if you got a different USB drive or whatever it may be, just go ahead and set it up again and you should be good to go. In terms of unplugging it, I don't think that there's any safely remove button that you have to push. I mean, I would suggest not being on the actual cable TV, antenna TV channel when you do it. Maybe go to like HDMI instead, and then do it, just so you know that the USB drive is not in use, because the last thing you want is a nice USB drive to be corrupted. And so then you can just unplug it and then you're good to go again. But that's all I have for you guys today. If you have any questions about the features of the pausing live TV, Go ahead, let me know if you have any other questions about the TV in general. Leave it in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video.